For the first time in 2 years, San Diego Comic-Con reopens its haunted halls, which invites over 130,000 fans from around the globe. And according to an article published by the San Diego Tribune, pumps an estimated $135 million into the local economy.
What's that about? Is there a sale somewhere?
Did you know it costs over $15,000 to have a booth at the convention, though? According to Jacksonville.com, booths at Comic-Con are upwards of $18,000. So why would Mattel spend so much money at a comic convention for a fashion doll brand like Monster High? This year, Mattel released its first Monster High Comic-Con exclusive doll in over 5 years, and revealed 2 additions to its sold-out Haunt Couture doll line. I'll be going into all the deadly details with an in-depth look at SDCC Voltageous Frankie Stein, courtesy of Mattel, later. But first, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, turn on notifications, and hit subscribe so you never miss the tea on the toys you love. Now, let's dive in. Donning its deadly dolls in 2010, Mattel first premiered Monster High at San Diego Comic-Con in a fairly major way for a fashion doll. Unlike its competitors, Monster High had a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive doll since the very first month the line was released in July of 2010. That doll was none other than the legendary black and white Frankie Stein doll. Only 5,000 of this doll was made, and she was sold for only $20 at the convention. During its launch, Monster High collabed heavily with Shop Justice, then Justice Just for Girls, a name that was rightfully changed. And at the 2010 Comic-Con booth, many of the licensed merchandise to be sold at Justice was on display, like bags, journals, and books. But most notably, the Comic-Con Frankie Stein doll herself. Black and white Frankie Stein, inspired by the cult classic black and white film Frankenstein, was sold on Justice's website for only $40. Surprisingly, the doll was available until January of 2011. That doll now sells for as high as $1,200. Wow, do I regret unboxing the one I got for Christmas when I was 10. Additionally, this Comic-Con gave out temporary tattoos that also came with the Monster High tattoo roller product, a preview of the Monster High book by Lacey Harrison, and the first ever Monster High Comic-Con tote bag, which features Keely Riley's Frankie Stein artwork. But why did Mattel choose Comic-Con? Companies like Bratz, Live Dolls, and Moxie Teens never made an appearance at Comic-Con, so why Monster High? Well, this could be for a couple of reasons. I plan on finding the inside scoop, but based on my research, here's a plausible theory. Monster High from the very beginning was created after Garrett Sander noticed a spike in tween girls shopping at stores like Hot Topic following the popularity of movies like Twilight and shows like The Vampire Diaries, Teen Wolf, etc. Things that society deemed traditionally masculine, like comics and monsters, became non-binary, and Mattel was ready to capitalize on that. An article by the New York Times shares comic book fans grew up, married, and raised children. A new fan base emerged. Their daughters, who have grown up in a world ruled by Supergirl, Princess Leia, and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Unlike any other doll brand by Mattel, Monster High's main focus was storytelling, and this was largely pioneered by character bios, character diaries, Lacey Harrison's books, and webisodes. This was breeding grounds for fandom. Mattel's goal wasn't to create a doll line, it was to create a community. This is likely why they chose Comic-Con following marketing analytics that had shown a rise in young girls attending Comic-Con over the traditional attendee at the time that was male. So figuring they'd strike before the iron turned hot, Mattel made the wise decision to debut at Comic-Con. The following year in 2011, Monster High was a larger success than Mattel could have ever imagined. They had to go big, and they chose to represent the Comic-Con goer themselves with Deadfast Ghoulia. But did you know Deadfast Ghoulia was originally going to be made as an advent calendar? Preliminary prototype sketches of the doll revealed that initially Comic-Con Ghoulia was going to have advent calendar style packaging. The idea was scrapped and later became the doll we know and love. While many sources will share this doll was revealed by Monster High's Facebook page, what very few people know is that this Ghoulia was actually first revealed on April 28, 2011 by G4 TV, which frequently partnered up with Mattel to unveil its Comic-Con exclusives. At that time, Monster High wasn't mainstream just yet, so the outlet didn't cover too much on her, aside from briefly showing her in 2-second clips. She was later revealed on action figure MonsterInsider.com, and Monster High's Facebook page in 2011. This is vital to know in understanding why Monster High kept choosing Comic-Con and why Monster High is so successful. Remember, Monster High isn't a brand, it's a community. In 2011, Monster High's Facebook page created posts of Ghoulia attending Comic-Con, reporting back the latest news. She is also the first doll in the Power Ghouls doll line, which we'll discuss in a little bit, cause that's an important thing to know. Related to Ghoulia's Facebook takeovers, 2011 was the first ever Comic-Con in which Monster High revealed new products daily, with Toralai's first doll being revealed on Thursday and Nephra's doll being revealed on Saturday. Fun fact, Nephra is designed by Rebecca Shipman, who's also designed the Monster High Collector series, as well as this year's Comic-Con Frankie. Put some respect on her name. What's really cool though is that Monster High took things a step further and created the first ever Monster High doll election in which fans could vote for the following year's Comic-Con exclusive dolls. This included iconic backgrounder Scara Screams, fan favorite Headmistress Bloodgood, and a new ghoul, Daughter of Arachne, who was later named Wedowna. Fans were able to cast their vote at the booth on the Monster High website or on Facebook. This made fans feel more included in the brand, and it's exactly why Monster High kept becoming more and more popular with every Comic-Con. While Deadfast Ghoulia is now one of the most valuable Monster High dolls to own, she was originally made available on MattyCollector.com for only $20 following the convention and actually didn't sell out for a few days. Wild, right? That year, Monster High had two exclusive totes, both of Ghoulia in her Deadfast attire, one resembling the doll a lot closer than the other, which uses her original hairstyle and makeup. The next year, in 2012, Monster High began revving up their gears with the Scara Screams and Hoodoo doll set. Two webisode backgrounders turned real. You might think, now why would they do that? In 2012, Comic-Con exclusive dolls started becoming the Monster High dolls retailers simply wouldn't buy. Knowing retailers like Walmart, Target, and Amazon wouldn't sell a doll like Scara or Hoodoo, Comic-Con was Mattel's opportunity to either prove those companies wrong, which they often did, or simply bring that character to life. Like Ghoulia, the Scara and Hoodoo set was made available on MattyCollectors.com following the convention. However, this set sold out much quicker than the others. That year's bag is one of my favorites, with every Monster High student up until that point on the bag, with Ghouls Rule on the other side. 2012 Comic-Con expanded Monster High's presence by revealing multiple dolls each day, from Headmistress Bloodgood ending up getting a doll anyway, to Roller Maze Abby Abominable and Claudine. That Power Ghouls line I'd mentioned earlier, and don't forget it because you'll be hearing a lot more about it, to Scara's Katrine, Djinnifier, and Skeleta. Comic-Con was held much earlier than the years prior, and lucky for Monster High, one of those days landed on the 13th. This was Monster High's first ever panel at Comic-Con, featuring panelists Garrett Sander, Natalie Villegas, Rebecca Shipman, Eric Hardy, Iris Singerman, Adu Payton, Debbie Derryberry, and Aaron Fitzgerald. At this panel, Rebecca, Natalie, and Garrett revealed Djinnifier Long and Skeleta Calaveras of the Scara City of Frights line. They discussed the cultural significance of these dolls and how important it was to do them justice. Rebecca talked about how she spoke with Mattel's design team in China to ensure Djinnifier was culturally accurate. And Natalie discussed the meaning behind Dia de los Muertos and how special Skeleta was to her. A preview of the Monster High feature film Ghouls Rule was also shown during the panel, and cutouts of Ghouls Rule Claudine and Frankie were available for fans to snap photos with. Don't fear the year. 2013 was the year where Screams came true. Arguably the biggest Monster High Comic-Con ever, and biggest year for Monster High, period. The Comic-Con exclusives of 2013 was none other than Daughter of Arachne Wedowna Spider under her superhero alias Webarella. This made her the sixth and final character of the Power Ghouls doll line. Something special about this doll is her packaging, and while every Comic-Con Monster High doll was presented in unmatched packaging, Webarella truly captures the Comic-Con spirit in her comic-style box. Wedowna Spider, a pun on Winona Ryder, only ever received two dolls, likely because retailers refused to buy such an unconventionally designed doll with 6 arms and 6 eyes. Walmart just wasn't ready for that kind of excellence, but Comic-Con was. That year, Monster High's bag featured every Monster High character up until that point, with updated artwork of characters like Howleen, and promoted the movie 13 Wishes on the other side. One of my favorite presentations at 2013 Comic-Con was the high school diorama. Drastically different than any of the Monster High schools sold by retailers, this diorama diorama was insanely accurate to the Monster High movies, and they managed to feature one of each Monster High student inside. Comment down below, how much would you be willing to pay for this diorama today? I really wonder who has it. Did they throw it away? That year, some of Monster High's most beloved dolls ever were revealed. First being Caddy Noir, the first doll of Slow-Mo, Sweet Scream's Frankie and Draculaura, Honey Swamp, then known as Alligator, and Claudia Wolf, the first and only Gen 1 Monster High doll to have an open mouth smile. 2013 was also the year they featured this one-of-a-kind Ghoulia Yelps doll dressed super casual with a Weberella t-shirt. Take note of her, cause something that will make you cry will be mentioned later. Apparently, Madison Beer also had a meet and greet at the Comic-Con booth, though not many photos of it exist on the internet. The 2013 panel was jam-packed with info like the 10-minute preview of 13 Wishes, a trailer for Fright's Camera Action, a special script reading by the Monster High voice actors, and the design process behind Honey and Claudia. Plus, this panel revealed that Ghoulia was born a zombie. She had 2 zombie parents, and she was a zombie baby according to the creatives of Monster High. 2013 was the first year Monster High also attended New York Comic-Con, where they actually extended a reveal of the Fright's Camera Action line, debuting Viperine Gorgon and Elizabeth. 2014 is where things were steady, but perhaps not growing. The exclusives were Manitar and Iris Clops, and if you were lucky, some Manitor and Iris Clops sets included a special varsity jacket that's packaged separately from the doll. In addition to the Manny and Iris set, fans could get Freaky Fusion stickers, a Save Frankie bracelet, and the I Only Have Eyes for You booklet, which, let's be real, is the best Monster High book because of its art. Keeley really outsold. This is where all those Monster High profile pictures you love to use came from. At 2014 Comic-Con, Garrett DeRock of the Scariest City of Frights movie was unveiled, alongside Casta Fierce, Lorna McNessie, and the most cohesive Monster High line to date, Haunted's River Styx and Vendala Doubloons. They also showed Monster High's first vinyls, which are majorly underrated. Fun fact, the prototype of Lorna McNessie's doll shown at Comic-Con had a broken neck. Here's a photo the Monster High fans used to make fun of back in the day for your enjoyment. 2015 featured one of my favorite Comic-Con dolls ever, Wisp Grant and Kiernan Valentine, 2 of Monster High's most iconic villains. These dolls were later sold on MattyCollector.com, in addition to its first ever Comic-Con exclusive vinyl, Boo York Nephra Denial. 2015's panel promoted Great Scarier Reef and shared a 1-minute preview of the Great Scarier Reef movie. Also unveiled was the Finnegan Wake doll, the only Monster High doll to have a wheelchair. The 2015 Monster High panel had over 500 attendees and over 250 people in line for autograph signings. All that fandom couldn't save what came next though, unfortunately, which brings us to Comic-Con 2016. In a story we all know too well, unfortunately, Monster High's sales began to decline, and after Mattel lost its right to Disney, Monster High completely rebooted itself. Interestingly though, this gave Monster High fans 3 Comic-Con exclusive dolls for that year. Comic-Con Rebecca Steam, in vacuumized metal with her father Hezekiah Steam, and the Ghostbusters Frankie Stein doll, who, if I'm not mistaken, was Monster High's first ever licensed doll. 2016's Comic-Con bag was made of artwork of the Monster High minis and focused on promoting the electrified doll line. Things changed drastically in the following year though, with virtually every doll collector no longer collecting dolls because, let's face it, from the years 2017 to 2019, there were hardly any 1/6 fashion dolls to collect. Monster High shared one of its most underrated Comic-Con duos, Cleo Denial and Ghoulia Yelps. This marked the return of Ghoulia Yelps to the Monster High franchise since they'd replaced her with Monica Decay in the 2016 reboot. This set was actually made available on Mattel's retail website at the time and even went on clearance. That's right, no one was buying this set for months, so it went on clearance until it finally sold out. That set, which was initially $45, is now worth over $500 on sites like eBay. We really gotta talk about how things go up in price, supply and demand, and of course, scalping, which I'll discuss in another video because trust me, scalping plays an interesting role in the Monster High Comic-Con exclusive dolls. So click subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss that. Anyway, although that was the last Monster High exclusive doll set up until now, it wasn't the last Monster High saw of Comic-Con. In 2018, a desperate attempt to save the franchise was made, with Mattel's success in relaunching the He-Man Masters of the Universe line, Mattel employees created a custom one-of-a-kind Monster High Evelyn figure. The doll was never sold, but merely created to campaign #TellMattel, a hashtag created for fans to essentially prove to Mattel investors and management that the brand is still worth investing into. And today, presumably those same passionate creatives are why we have the 2022 Comic-Con exclusive doll, Voltageous Frankie Stein. This was the first Comic-Con I actually got to attend in person, so I can truly detail what the experience is like. At the 2022 San Diego Comic-Con, Monster High was split into 3 booths. The Monster High movie booth partnered with Nickelodeon, which is actually different than the booth shown at VidCon. At this booth, fans could play a match game using the character cards to win Comic-Con exclusive Monster High pin and poster. The characters were randomized so you couldn't cheat, and naturally as a super fan, we got top score, winning at only 18 seconds. Our queen, the reason we stand Monster High, was actually working the booth again too. Little known fact about the character cards is that Cleo Denial's card is different from the one shown at VidCon, with the VidCon card saying her ability is a mystery while the Comic-Con details her monster powers. At the second booth, Mattel's main booth, Voltageous Frankie Stein was on display outside of the Monster High section with a giant banner of Darko Dark's various Voltageous Frankie Stein illustrations. Inside the booth was a banner of the original Monster High pre-production dolls to take a photo with, a glass display case with all 5 Haute Couture dolls, which I'll show more of in a second, and then a Monster High alumni gate for fans to take a photo in front of. At the times 1013 and 313, the booth handed out 4 different pins to collect. The day of the signing, the booth gave out Voltageous Frankie Stein posters. This section of the booth is also where the designer signing took place. More on that later. The third Monster High booth was at Mattel Creations. This booth was made exclusively to buy product, and boy was it a challenge. We would arrive at Comic-Con every day at 6 a.m. That's 3 hours and 30 minutes prior to the convention opening, and even though we got there extra early, the Mattel Creations booth was impossible to get into. It was pretty chaotic, and there was so much misinformation on how to buy product. You could only get in line by acquiring a ticket. The tickets were handed out randomly, and it was really a game of luck to get one. On the last day of the convention, Sunday, the booth no longer required tickets, and this is how I was able to get an extra Voltageous Frankie Stein to give away to one of you. I detailed that on my Instagram page. Customers were limited to 2 Voltageous Frankie Stein dolls per day by using this paper ordering menu that you'd hand to a cashier. It seems they had a limited amount of Frankie dolls per day so that everyone had a chance to get her, but she ended up selling out by around 2 to 3 p.m. every day. Saturday, the day of the signing, fans rushed to the booth at 9:30 a.m. to grab a signing ticket. The tickets ended up running out. At 10 a.m., Monster High hosted a fan meetup, and while there was only a few of us, we really gave it our all. Check out my new beasties, Nicole and Richter, who killed it as Claudine and Valentine. Then, at 2 p.m., the signing started. If you have a phone, you've probably seen the Reddit post circulating of a man with 6 Voltageous Frankie Steins having them signed. I'll save that topic for my scalping video. For now, I'll say that Rebecca, Olga, and Cheris were incredibly kind and thoughtful. They took time with each fan they met and really made the experience both enjoyable and memorable. There were 100 attendees for the signing booth, and that's just because tickets were limited. An impressive return for the brand's first time back. Circling back, Haute Couture Cleo Denial, designed by Rebecca Shipman, and Haute Couture Laguna Blue, designed by Glinda Chu, debuted. Comment your thoughts on these two down below. They didn't share when they'll be released, other than that they'll both be releasing on 2 separate dates. If you remember, I mentioned that one-of-a-kind Ghoulia earlier. Garrett Sander attended Comic-Con with this Ghoulia as what can only be described as bittersweet. Garrett is no longer working at Mattel, and since he doesn't own the rights to have royalties to Monster High, he's virtually off the brand. But this didn't stop him from being the first person to unveil Laguna and Cleo on his Instagram page, which made him the first person to actually share the news. In case you were wondering, no, Mattel did not unveil any of the reboot dolls, and the booth was kept pretty exclusively catered to OG collectors. Fun facts about Voltageous include that she's the first ever SDCC Monster High doll to have rooted eyelashes. She pays homage to the original Power Ghouls Frankie Stein doll with her head sculpt, which is the exact same sculpt from 2013. Her hair is saran and has silver tinsel, similar to her Sweet 1600 doll, and the mini booklet she includes is a miniature scale black and white replica of the Voltageous comic from 2013. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, turn on notifications, and hit subscribe so you never miss the tea on the toys you love. Thanks for watching. See ya!